All right, we're going to start getting into a little bit more geometry here, perimeter and area, but really mainly we're only going to deal with rectangles or something like rectangles today. Perimeter, I mean, the basic gist of it here is that the sum of all sides is the perimeter of an object. Okay, now in rectangles, pairs of sides are equal to each other, but and we'll deal with that the area of a rectangle is the length of its base times the length of its height, which will give you its area in square units. It's usually better if we see this done with a few examples here. Jared is placing baseboards and 1-foot square floor tiles in a 12-foot by 8-foot room. Ignoring doorways, how many feet of baseboard does he need and how many tiles does he need? Okay. I don't know why, but I decided to do the tiles first. Well, the area of a rectangle is base times height, like we just gave. The base is 12 feet of this rectangular room, and the height is 8 feet. So it's a 96 square foot floor, and since we have 1 square foot tiles, then we need 96 of those 1 square foot tiles. If they were 2 square foot tiles, that would change things a little bit. But 1 square foot tiles, we need 1 tile for every 1 square foot of room. Okay, perimeter is going to help us figure out how much baseboard we need around the bottom of the room, the trim that you put along the bottom of the room. And again, we're ignoring doorways where we wouldn't normally put boards, but here we go. So perimeter of a rectangle, well, we got 2 lengths that are 12 feet, and we have 2 lengths that are 8 feet. Multiply first, and then add them up. We have 40 feet of baseboard that we need. Which, by the way, is the same as 12 plus 12 plus 8 plus 8. Do this a couple more times. Let's find the area, the perimeter and area of each rectangle. Again, I've decided to do area first for some reason, but area is base times height. So 4 times 3 is 12 square centimeters. For the next one, we got base times height again. 12 times 9, which is 108 square centimeters. Now, as far as perimeter goes, we've got a length of 4, a length of 3, another length of 4, and another length of 3, which adds up to 14 centimeters around this rectangle. And for the second one, we got 2 lengths of 12 and 2 lengths of 9, which is a total length of 42 centimeters. I'm just showing 2 different ways to do perimeter. It doesn't matter which way you do it. This way really only works for parallelograms. This works for all objects. The length and width of the rectangle in example C are 3 times the length and width of the rectangle in example B. The perimeter and area of the rectangle in C are how many times those measures in B? Well, to do this, I guess we need to be looking at the problems we just did. Okay, the length and width of rectangle C, or excuse me. Yeah, I've got these labeled wrong, don't I? At any rate, this big one, the lengths of it are 3 times as long as the lengths on these, okay? So 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12. So they're asking us to compare the perimeters and the areas. So, let's look at the area first. Okay, 12 is the area of the small rectangle, and 108 is the area of the big rectangle. 12 times what number is 108? And you can do that by doing 108 divided by 12, and you'll see that that is 9. Meaning this rectangle's area is 9 times as big as the smaller one. So the length and width both increased by 3 times as much, but the area increases by 9 times as much. Interesting. Okay, now perimeter. Okay, so with perimeter, the perimeter of the small rectangle was 14. And that times what equals the perimeter of the large rectangle, 42? Well, 42 divided by 14 is 3. So the perimeter of the large rectangle is 3 times as much as the perimeter of the small. I said triangle, didn't I? I'm sorry, rectangle. So it's 3 times as long. Placing 12 tiles side by side, Pete can make a 12 by 1 rectangle. Name 2 other rectangles Pete can make with 12 tiles. Well, I guess we could just find factors of 12. 12 times 1 is 12, so that's why you can make a rectangle that's 12 tiles side by side. Another way you could do it is a 6 by 2 rectangle, because 6 times 2 is 12. Or you could do a 4 by 3 rectangle, because 4 times 3 is 12. You could also do a 3 by 4 rectangle and a 2 by 6 rectangle, which are very similar to the ones we've listed, but that would be it. That would be the only ways you could make rectangles out of these 12 tiles. Draw a picture if it helps you. Last one, find the perimeter and area of a room with these dimensions. Now this is a little bit trickier because number one, not all the dimensions are given to us. And number two, there is no formula for the area of this shape. Okay, but we'll talk about both those things. As far as perimeter goes, I mean, I obviously have a side length of 13 here. Okay, and the way I like to do is I like to cheat. This blue line is equivalent to the sum of these 2 blue lines below it. So that's going to be 13. Okay, I don't even care about this 3. Okay, yeah, this is 10, but I don't need to know that right now. 13, this line is equal to the sum of these 2 lines. So I have 2 that are 13. And then likewise, I have this 14-foot line right here, which is going to be equal to the sum of these 2 green lines, another 14. I've got everything accounted for here. My total perimeter is 13 plus 13 plus 14 plus 14, which is 54 feet. Okay, so you really don't need to know that this is 10. Yes, 10 plus 3 is 13. You really don't need to know that this is 3. 11 plus 3 is 14. If you want to do it that way, you can, but it's kind of a waste of time. Now with area, we might need to know that. How are we going to figure out the area of this? Well, I would look at it as 2 shapes together. So to figure out the whole area, I would say, okay, it's the area of this rectangle plus the area of this rectangle. I'll break that down here. 1 and 2. Okay, so the area of the first rectangle would be base times height, which is 13 times 11. And the area of the second rectangle, base times height, would be 3 times 3. And again, if you don't know how I got 3 right here, it's 14 minus this 11 would be 3. Okay, so the area of the first rectangle, the big one, is 143. The area of the second rectangle, the smaller one, is 9. And when you add them together, you have 152 square feet for the total area of this figure. So break it up into shapes you can find the area of, and then add those areas together. That's it for today. Rewind anything that you need to see again. Make sure your notes are nice and neat and complete, and I'll see you tomorrow.